Welcome back to Voice Global. I am your host, Pete Erickson. I hope you're having a great day. We certainly are. The conversations have been really compelling and illuminating on just the depth and the breadth of the conversational AI space globally within brands across all industries. My next guest has had a front row seat on the growth of this market and is leading the way when it comes to conversational AI through the company he founded called Haptic.ai. Welcome to the stage, my next guest, Mr. Akrit Vaish. Akrit, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me over here, Pete. Very excited to be at Voice Global. As of course you and I know, we go back a long way. So
yes,
so really excited to be here.
Yeah, and actually, I think one thing that's fun is a lot of the folks that I'm talking to this week I've known now for many years. Some even preceded any of the work that we did in Voice. And you came to Newark, New Jersey at our inaugural Voice Summit in 2018, and we got to briefly meet there. But you also shared a story with me that I think is kind of important. I mean, our journeys are sometimes we go through. We have to go through major challenges in order to start to have that success. But you shared something with me. I don't know if you want to reiterate that a little bit, but it was meaningful to me. And I wonder if you could talk about that trip and how it was a turning point for you.
Yeah, I mean, recently when we spoke again, and the moment we got connected, and I knew that, oh look, I'm going to be speaking with Pete. It brought back so many memories because it's so fascinating. That every company, every founder, every business possibly goes through this, a few times in their life, but and then these moments kind of just stay with you. That trip, 2018 Voice Global, when I sort of made the trip and I spent some time in Newark and got to the conference, was possibly the lowest point in my career, or translating to one of the lowest points in the journey of Haptic as a business. I think we couldn't figure out our story. We couldn't figure out what we wanted to do. There was capital runway only for a certain amount of time. My wife will tell you this because she remembers that time also so clearly. It possibly was one of the worst trips of my professional career in every way. And as much as I was there at Voice Summit, I wasn't really there. I think it was almost like just everything that could go wrong had gone wrong. And then, I saw a bunch of things at the summit, got me excited about what's going on in the space, especially like you mentioned, what the potential of enterprise looked like. And I came back, from that trip, and I sort of took some time off. I went to Russia actually for a short break after that, out of all places. And then I came back and I said, look, you know what? We know there's something over here. We know that what we built has value for somebody in this world. Now we just need to be heads down focused, cut out things that don't work, narrow down focus about things that are working, double down, and just give it like this. At that time, I thought it was one last shot to see where this goes. And then, as they say, the rest is history. It's been 3 years, and obviously we will go into how just that one last shot ended up becoming something completely different.
Well, I want to thank you for sharing that, because that is it shows some vulnerability in you to share that that things had to get really bad before you started to see, and it really, that it did allow you then to clear everything out of the way and just focus on, okay, what can we do and what are the possibilities? And I, as a community builder, as an organizer, when I hear stories of people who come to my events and it really, something happens there, not anything that really we did, but just by virtue of bringing this thing together and creating these opportunities and maybe these cathartic moments in your case, it just brings me great joy, because you were able to get back home to India to really start to clear out and see the opportunity. And then you started to have success. So tell us a little bit about that. What were the first things that really started to break for you in this space and start to become what is now Haptic.ai?
The most fundamental question that we answered for ourselves pretty much right around immediately after I kind of settled down when I was back was the customer segment we wanted to focus on and the products that we wanted to build. I think before that, we were just talking about it before we started this discussion offline that, before that, if you remember back in the day, even at the Voice Summit back in 2018, there was a bunch of different conversational AI related offerings in the market. There was skills, there was actions, there was direct to consumer product, there was voice search, there was chatbots, there was chatbots for commerce, chatbots for support, mid-market, large enterprise, do-it-yourself chatbot builders. There was just a lot, right? And at Haptic, one of our fundamental challenges back then was we found ourselves doing a little bit across too many things. We had a couple of skills, we had a couple of chatbots we had built, we had a consumer app that was somewhat doing something. So we were, kind of betting on this technology and then trying to do too many things across the board. I think so. The biggest thing that we did was with very sort of laser focus that this is our core product for this type of customer in this market. And then let's build off from that. And at that point, for a combination of reasons, we believed or we picked chatbots as the core product. That look, messaging or chat seems like where the greatest value is today. We picked the mid-market enterprise. Again, for a combination of reasons, we felt that we were most suited to serve them. And we picked a couple of use cases around customer service and customer support and customer engagement, a little bit of like conversational commerce, but essentially anything that was end consumer facing as the core use cases. Yeah. And that's it. We picked these three things and said that, look, this is what we're going to double down in.
Well, clearly that strategy has paid off. The company is doing well. Your website boasts some pretty amazing statistics. I want to just rattle a few of these off. 4 billion plus chat voice interactions, 306 live implementations, 6 Fortune 500 customers, 500 million consumers reached globally. Those are really impressive. Which industries are you having the most success here?
E-commerce. So we have definitely seen a very natural organic pickup within e-commerce for customer support driven AI solutions. Both chat and voice, mostly chat, but now to some degree voice as well. Things like, what's the status of my order? I need to cancel my order. I need a refund. You would think these are types of questions that messaging is very tailored to solve very well, and also some of the voice driven interfaces that we've built. So that's, I would say, is our largest bucket of revenue and success. Outside of that, telecom is another place where we have seen a lot of growth, again, for very similar reasons. If you think about some of these categories, right, and I know you and I have spoken about this before, if you think about some of these categories, it makes sense where there is less complexity with the product, because we have so far still been in the initial stages of the technology adoption. So going back to the hype cycle of innovation, right? When you really start discovering the core use cases, the first few industries to pick it up and do really well are ones where the product has lesser complexity. Like if you think about e-commerce, right? I mean, ultimately the e-commerce buying experience is now fairly standardized. There's less complexity in figuring out what shirt I want. I mean, it's more a matter of choice. If you think about telecom, I mean, you broadly have few plans to pick from, and then you know which plans you want.
Right.
On the other hand, if you think of complex categories like, financial services and insurance, there we've had some success, but I think that's still waiting to play out a little bit. We had a lot of success, honestly, in travel and hospitality before the pandemic happened. Right. Because again, it made for a very good use case.
Well, hopefully that's going to start coming back now. People are getting on airplanes again. We're even looking at a trip in September, so it's things are
absolutely, and even we are starting to see customers and enterprises in the category come back to us and and come back to us and have interest in deploying such solutions.
I think hospitality is going to have a nice rebound. I think that it does look like, I mean, we can all tell everybody's been home for 15, 16 months, and they want to get out and see the world. Also, a pandemic happened, and so you just can't predict what's going to happen. So, like, go see those places that are on the bucket list, and hotels are starting to figure this out. Voice assistants inside rooms are really starting to come somewhere, so that's interesting. I want to switch topic here just real quickly. We conducted a survey this spring with Haptic, conversational AI in the financial services and fintech space. It's a fascinating report because it was illuminating. Is there anything that really stuck out with you in that report? And by the way, I'll let people know we will send out an opportunity for folks to download this report that are part of the Voice Global community here, just to make sure you get access to it. So you'll see that from us. But was there anything that stuck out for you in that report?
Yeah, there was one thing that really stuck out for me, which I mean, maybe I'm the anomaly here, but which was that almost half the people surveyed had already done at least one implementation within the space, right? Either a chatbot or a voice bot or a skill or an action of some degree.
Yep.
And to me, that number was a bit higher than I thought. I thought, maybe 25%, maybe a third would have implemented, dabbled with the technology, but almost half. And on top of that, another 70%. So basically the remaining 50 plus maybe, half of these had plans to further invest in the coming year. That was very encouraging. And of course, something we've been seeing as a business from the demand perspective. But the fact that, there's so many of people who've already tried and learned and perhaps are now going to correct some of the things they've done was very interesting to me.
Well, I think it's telling. I think the experimental phase is largely over and behind us. And now people are understanding they have to make real investments in this if they're actually going to remain competitive. If you look at what's happening with a lot of the banking apps and they're dropping voice inside their mobile applications, and the adoption is through the roof. The people are starting to use their voice. And I talk about my kids a lot. They're 9 and 10. They are the voice first generation. They use voice for everything. They're even using voice on the desktop. So it's interesting to watch them. And I'm actually learning from them about how this market is going to evolve. But I think what enterprise organizations have figured out is we actually have to have a solution now. We have to have an interface that's voice enabled for many reasons. I mean, I think some of the really cool benefits are, as well as if you hear from anybody that's differently abled, the accessibility component of voice now inside of applications just levels the playing field. And it's really, really, really cool to see.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, look, I mean, you summed it up best, right? The experimental phase is over. I think, and if I just give you a proxy to the kind of conversations that we have with prospective customers now versus 2 years back, just customers are much more aware and they know what they want. I think 2 years back, it was a lot about, hey, tell me what this technology can do. Should I do voice first? Should I do chat? Should I do both of them together? Should I look at a skill versus an action? Should I look at a bot on the website? A lot of it was very consultative. Today, the conversations are very much like, hey, look, I know what the technology does. I know what the possibilities are. Now I want to solve this specific problem and achieve these metrics over a period of this time. That's how I've set up my annual operating plan or my business goals or our executive roadmap based on this. So now you tell me whatever you have, right? I understand the tech, but tell me how it's going to come together to solve exactly this problem over this time. So, and that's, to your point, no better sign of the market maturing.
Yeah, it's maturing nicely. I think that, and I think that's if you even see where we were a year ago in the conversations we were having here at Voice Global, of course, a year ago, it's such a, I mean, when you think about where we were in the pandemic, right? We were in the midst of the peak lockdown period. So I think even all markets were impacted and it was very, very fluctuating. And we seem to have thankfully, come through the other side, and at least we know our pathway beyond where we are now. But this market has matured, and it's maturing at a very rapid clip. And I think the point being that major organizations, whether they're consumer facing or business to business, are figuring out their answer, and they're actually able to now identify and even quantify what it is they're going to be needing and what they want to be doing. So I think the strategies are in place. How their strategies interact and interface with their existing technology stacks and their mobile applications have started to come into focus. Companies like Haptic are right there to really help them with that. Where do you right now? Where do you see things going here in 2022 and 2023? Where do you think the big growth is going to come from in the market? Is it on the customer service side? Is it commerce? Where do you see, and kind of where's your, as much as you can share, where do you see things headed?
Yeah, no, I'm happy to share whatever I know. I think the pandemic accelerated the adoption of this technology by at least a year, if not two, in terms of the demand, in terms of customers' awareness, in terms of customers wanting this. I think it definitely, like I expected, where the market is today, most analysts would have expected the market to be here 2 years later or at 1 year later. And that's kind of the acceleration that's happened. I think that's going to just continue for the next year or two. Every single brand or enterprise of any meaningful scale globally in every market that we operate is now has a mandate for either implementing something in voice or something in conversational AI or chat. They have dedicated. We're now seeing dedicated product managers emerge in this space. We ourselves find ourselves very often talking to a new breed called product manager conversational AI, which again is a great sign of the market maturing, and there are dedicated teams being set up. I think that customer service continues to be the low-hanging fruit. I think it's well validated that technology does solve a purpose for this use case. So we're going to see more and more customer service oriented AI solutions, both on chat and then also on voice. And voice means not only the voice bot or the voice assistant, but also voice agent assist, right? Which is being able to enable contact center agents to do a lot more and listen to the calls.
Right.
So that I think is a huge market on the contact center side. We are very excited about conversational commerce as well. We think that particularly in emerging markets, Latin America, Asia, to certain parts of Europe, where platforms like WhatsApp and WeChat and Line are very popular, where they are used sometimes more than even the browser is used. We think that they'll become genuinely powerful channels to, actually engage with a brand and end-to-end make a transaction. So we are very bullish on conversational commerce. Like I said, more so in emerging markets. On the US side, we're not seeing as much as we'd like. I think people are still a bit early, and I think customer support or the customer service wave is still what's more in demand. But I think commerce will soon catch up as well.
I love it. Conversational commerce. It's something that I've always, since I got really into this space, going back to 2016, I saw the opportunity with my television in the living room to be able to just start asking about different types of products. Show me jackets in blue that I could wear to voice, and just see it, and then just interact, and then find the one I want. So yeah, I want to buy that one. That to me, that's where things are going to end up. And happy to hear that you're bullish in that market as well, because I can't wait to shop like that.
Yeah, and by the way, I just want to highlight for everybody in the audience over here and Voice Global in general, right? It is absolutely very much already happening in these emerging markets, right? Like today, I would say our businesses in India, Africa, and then Southeast Asia, almost half the implementations we're now doing are commerce oriented.
Interesting.
And WhatsApp is emerging as a very, very big channel for commerce. WhatsApp, the platform itself, has launched 3 new features just this month, which is Facebook and WhatsApp launching these features, which are enabling more commerce to happen. So it's a very real thing in this part of the world right now.
So your advice to those out there that are watching this interview, pay attention, pay close attention to what's happening. Definitely be looking at WhatsApp for the brands out there for customer interaction. It's a great customer interaction point, and now it's a point of commerce. So noted. Any predictions for 2022? I love what you said, that you feel like the pandemic accelerated this market by a year, maybe even 2. Any predictions for 2022 that you would like to share?
Look, I'm not one to make too many predictions. I think I'll tell you something else which is related. The thing that I lose my sleep over, if that was the best way to put it, the thing that I lose my sleep over these days the most is, over the next 12 to 18 months, there's going to be some massive disruption in our space. Something that's going to give. Either is going to be, some big product breakthrough, some big tech breakthrough,
right.
Everything in the world moving to WhatsApp or SMS or Google Business Messages or Alexa. Or Alexa is going to become bigger. Like, there's going to be something that's going to, we're almost at that tipping point where something is going to happen, and this is just going to become even bigger than what we have. I don't know what that is yet. I think a lot of us are making different bets in areas which we think are going to pan out in a certain way.
Sure.
But I think that's going to, next year, if a year from now we're still talking about similar things, I'll be surprised.
I was predicting some unicorn would emerge going back to 2019. It's interesting to see the Verbit funding valued at over $1 billion. So that's really kind of one of the first new arrival, unicorns in our space. But I think it's a great prediction. I think this market is ripe for that kind of evolution. And I think that just the same way that, Alexa and Google Assistant really sort of like became an impetus for a lot of things that are happening in our industry, they've more paved the road, I think, for other entrants and other disruptions to happen. 5G and 6G are here. Device speeds, chip speeds, cloud services, access, and cost. All those things are coming together, and the result is going to be pretty amazing innovations that we actually can't predict right now. And I think that's the exciting thing, is we'll have to keep an eye on it and see what happens.
Absolutely. And anybody in this space, whether you're part of the community, you're thinking about building a product, or you are a brand thinking about implementing it, you need to be keeping your eyes very close to what's happening.
Well, it sounds like, Akrit, you are a fantastic resource for the industry, and for anybody out there that's looking to understand more about conversational AI and potential implementations. Definitely reach out to Akrit and his team at haptic.ai. That's haptik.ai. Fabulous group, and willing to share your knowledge. And I think that says a lot about you. And thank you again for sharing your story about Voice Summit 2018. I have fond memories of that event as well. And as always, it's great to chat with you. Thanks for joining us here at Voice Global. I am your host, Pete Erickson. I've been speaking with the CEO and founder of haptik.ai, Akrit Vaish. Akrit, thanks again.
Absolutely.
And we look forward to seeing you next time.
Absolutely.